Hey y'all, it's Terry from Sisterhood of the Traveling Brush, and I want to give you a quick technique that you can use on any kind of project. These are some candlesticks. I'm going to put some pictures of them in the beginning there that I bought at Goodwill. They're some type of metal on the top and bottom parts here, and this part is glass, like a thick, slick glass. So I cleaned it with White Lightning, Dixie Belle White Lightning, and then I scuffed it up with the Surf Prep Rad Pads. The gray one is medium, but you don't have to remember that because it says medium right on it, and I actually cut it in half so I would have a easier size to use, but they come in a pack of like 8. There's 2 very fine, 2 super fine, 2 fine, and 2 medium. And this medium was pretty coarse, so I scuffed it up just a tad with that. And then I put slick stick on it because the glass is slick. I shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? I should have left it overnight with the slick stick, but I didn't because I'm impatient. So any problems that occur in the next few moments are due to Terry, not due to slick stick. But that's what I was going to do first. Then I put on a quick coat just with a chip brush of Savannah Mist. I put it on pretty thick because it was pretty thick, and I didn't have any what do you call it? I didn't have any water in here. I still don't, so I'm going to use some of the water out of my water bottle here. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about glaze. I don't use glaze a whole lot because I really like using waxes. I like using dark waxes and colored waxes and things like that. That's my favorite way of getting dark colors into the crevices and things like that. But if you wanted to make your own glaze, say you were like, I don't have a glaze this color, and this is the color, this is Stormy Seas, which I know looks really, really good with the Savannah Mist, and that's the color I wanted on here. So the way that you normally would make a glaze with this is you would take your top coat, like a satin top coat from Dixie Belle, and you would mix it 50-50 paint and glaze, or not glaze, but top coat. Stir it all up, and boom, there's your traditional glaze. To me, working with a traditional glaze, it drags a little, it's sticky a little, and I just prefer to work with it thinner. So I'm going to make my glaze with water, and that's my tip for you today, is that, you know, we've talked about making our own colored waxes before, but you can make your own glaze as well. This is pretty thick, but I'm still going to do it 50-50, or close to 50-50, because I'm just using a soup spoon out of the kitchen here. I'm going to put, I'm just going to do 1 actually, because I can always make more because I'm going to remember my recipe. So there's 1 soup spoon of Stormy Seas, which is a beautiful gray-blue kind of color. And I'm going to get some water, and let's do that over again. I want to do over. Okay, I poured most of that out. Let's get some water. Pour slow, pour slow. Okay, there's a tablespoon of water. Now I'm just going to mix that in. Another thing that you can do if you want is make a spray bottle with your spray glaze, which would be very convenient right now, and I was going to do this, but this one I forgot to clean the stopper squirter thing out last time, so now it's well, now look, it's sprayed. It was stopped up, but anyway, you can mix a couple of tablespoons of your favorite paint color in with some water and put it in one of these misting bottles. Can you see that, where that just misted a little bit on here? This has a sort of a teal color in it, and that can be another way if you want some drippy look, and we may put that on here in a minute. But right now, I'm just wanting this Stormy Seas. And I'm just kind of stirring it up. You can use your stir stick or whatever you want, but I'm getting it really thin. Now your method of application can be with a rag, with a squirt bottle like that, a mister bottle, with your traditional paintbrush. I'm going to slap it on here with this sponge brush because I had one nearby. And that's my biggest thing that I can share with you is don't let not having anything already slow you down. You just keep moving forward. And that's what we're going to do today is put some of this glaze on here. I thought about this after I was painting it, that I should have put some of the like salt wash on here and gave this some texture, but I didn't. I'm going to go with kind of two different ways of this. See if I can brush some on to begin with. You can apply your new glaze just like in, make sure that you can see that, in all of the crevices and the areas where you want more of the dark to stay to begin with. I like to do it that way. Over your hilly areas, your details, anything that you want some of the dark to stay in, and we're going to wipe some off in a minute. That's where I hope I don't have a problem because I didn't allow the paint to dry. I didn't allow the slick stick to dry. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and put some on the glass part too, because I want you to be able to see how quickly you can transform this with just adding some water to your paint and making your own glaze. Like I said, if you were wanting a traditional glaze, if you're used to working with glazes and you like working with glazes, you still make your own. You just do it 50-50 with your satin top coat instead of with water. That's what's so good about this is Dixie Belle paint, about this being a water-based paint, but it also has an acrylic base, so when we do dry in a minute, it's going to have a sort of a hardener already built in, so I'm really happy about that. Now I'm trying to hurry. I can still take one of the finer Surf Prep sanders later and sand some of these areas to distress it if that's what we decide to do. Right now I'm just wanting to hurry up and get it on here before one area dries. And you could, if you were doing a big piece, you could very easily just do one section at a time. You know, do if it was a flat piece of furniture, you could do just, you know, maybe a 2-foot section at a time so you didn't chance letting any of your glaze dry. You can also put it heavier in some areas, lighter in others where you know you want it to be lighter. Where you want those shadows to be and all that. You could use a damp cloth now if you wanted to remove more. A baby wipe would probably take several baby wipes, but it still would work good. Or have a piece of t-shirt that's dry, so we shall see. I know I want less of it on here, so I'm going to try to quickly wipe some off around the ridges on the glass part here. And I'm being very careful because I do know that because my waiting time wasn't what it should have been. Okay. So here I'm going to hit the high areas with a little bit more water. It is coming off good and spreading good, but I want it to come off a little bit more and to potentially have a few little runs. I know this is going to dry beautifully. I love these colors. And neutral colors, if you have a store, sell very well. But these will be for sale here in my store and on my website later on. And remember, I paid $4.99 for the small one, $5.99 for the big one at Goodwill. Okay, now there's a high area here, a little rounded area. hit that real good. And some of the areas around this top part. This is where, like I said, a baby white would be great. Probably better than what I'm using. But I'm using what I have so that I can continue to move forward. Now I'm going to do the same thing and put a little more water here on the bottom because it's had a little more time to dry. Love it, love it, love it. This is going to look old and worn and metallic and all those things. I rubbed a little bit hard right here, pulled off a little bit of the paint all the way through. I didn't plan on that, but I did plan on distressing later. But that's because all of my undercoats were not dry because I'm rushing things. Same thing here, but I'm allowing it to pull off a little bit in some of the areas where I want the distressing. You can dab at it as well to get like an old world kind of a look, if that's what you were going for. I do need to get my fingerprints off. I'm going to rub a little bit harder because I do want some of the distressing right here. So this is a wet distressing. I have a video on YouTube on wet distressing if you're interested in more of that. There we go. Rub a little more of that off there around the details. That's where I want it to look a little more distressed. Go. I'm going to try to distress a little around this top edge, and if that's not enough, later when it dries I'll just hit it with the sander, the sanding pad, not the mechanical sander. Okay, so that's it. That's how quick that works. We made a water-based glaze of our own. And see how much different the two of them look. See if I can get it closer for you. See that with the glaze and without the glaze? The glaze really, really aged it beautifully. See if you can, oops, get some of the distressed details there for you to see around the bottom and under the top part. So there you go. You could have another option I was thinking about, because I really love vintage duck egg with these colors. At this point you could make another glaze or mix with your water to mist on, which would be a great idea, I think, with a third color, and just mist that on and let it run, or do the same thing and come right over it. I don't know that I am now because this turned out so good. So but there are many options. You could get, you know, more colors in there, or just come back with a dry brush and hit it with your other color just here and there. But I appreciate you watching.